start recording. Okay, yeah, so recording has started. Well, anyways, first off, before we start, I'd like to ask if site government is in front of their devices.
Yes.
All right, that's good. And side opposition.
Yes, we're present.
Yes, we are.
Okay, that's good. So I would like for both teams to write down their speaker orders on the chat box. Just write according to first speaker, second speaker, third speaker, and reply. And then try to use the names that is in the tab links so that it's easier for us to kind of recognize it and all. And whilst that is going on, hi, my name is Yugenesh Anumanthan, pronouns he, they, and for the sake of the debate, just refer to me as judge, chair, panel, anything along those lines should be fine. And I'll be solo chairing this round as well. And this is a silent round, which means no oral adjudication will be given at the end of it. Yeah. So along that, before we start, some house rules. Every speech is 7 minutes, and I'll allow you to exceed 15 seconds over it, which means you can go up to 7 minutes, 15 seconds. Anything that you say after that will not be credited towards your speech and will not be written down by myself as well. So if you see me doing this, which means I am not writing it down at all. This applies for the reply speeches as well. Reply speeches are 4 minutes, a maximum of 4:15 is allowed. POIs only between the 2nd minute to the 6th minute mark. And do let us know your POI preference earlier before the round starts. I mean, before your speech starts. So just let us know, like, would you like it verbal or would you like it on chat? Other than that, just don't heckle, don't bully the other team, and try to be charitable. At the end of the day, it's just a debate. So without further ado, starting round 5 of Help Asian Debate Challenge 2023. Calling Prime Minister. Here.
Hello. Am I both audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
All right. Let me set down my stopwatch. Okay. Okay. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Every woman deserves to feel beautiful because, as proposition, we agree with what NARS Cosmetics says when they say beauty truly has no limits, and we agree with that. But let's get into framing. 3 points of framing instantly. Number 1, status quo. What does this look like in current status quo? We can see that these current companies, no matter it's fashion or cosmetic products, they use set feminist narratives to target the demographic, which are females in this case. And society is getting more inclusive, and the beauty industry is not excluded from this because these old narratives and advertisements of fashion and beauty products are very objectively based on these Eurocentric white standards, right? But why is this so harmful? I'll explain it later in my elaboration. But the increase of these feminist narratives can not only help empower females, but also take down these Eurocentric beauty standards. And an example of this would be including these plus size models, right? But moving on to the second point of framing, how does this characterization look like? 3 major stakeholders in today's case. Number 1, these cosmetic and fashion companies. They are mega companies, and yes, their profits are to make more profit, and they have a huge outreach, right? And these Eurocentric and artificially hard to achieve standards will just be propagated if we go along with the opposition says. Second stakeholder of today's debate, women in general, right? Because we can see that in status quo right now, women actually need more empowerment, and they're subjected to an unequal beauty standard, whereas we are striving to change that as government. But third of all, let's look at society for a second, right? There's a rising need for feminism on the progress, and we have to progress and actually be more inclusive towards all sorts of women, not just white-centric and Eurocentric, which is what the opposition so clearly strives for in today's case. Third point of framing, how would it look like in their world, right? Panel, note that by not supporting the inclusivity of these narratives at all, it's just defaulting back to these Eurocentric and beauty standards. But again, why is this so harmful? Let me explain to you, right? Because it is just based on an objective mindset. It is something that goes directly against our current world that is progressing towards inclusivity in all aspects. Just look at women with darker skin tones. They're not white people. Look at Asian people, right? They can never feel truly beautiful just because these mega companies are propagating this image of beauty as Eurocentric or white-centric, whereas we as government will change that. So unless OP can prove why having a barred and beauty standard is so beneficial to women, we take today's debate, right? But two burdens in today's speech. Number one, how it helps to empower women, and two, how it aligns all interests of stakeholders involved. My first argument, how it's the most effective way to empower women. 3 tiers of analysis. Number one, the prioritization of the fashion and cosmetic industry. Now we understand that women look towards these two industries to base their beauty standards off of. When they see that it's getting more inclusive, i.e. love your curves and beauty has no standards, this will generate more diverse views towards beauty standards, to be elaborated on by Wei Liang later. But a reminder that these two industries are the pinnacle of attention to women when it comes to attracting their attention. They definitely prioritize and emphasize what these two industries say and convey as a message. Look at Prada, look at Gucci, all these companies from the fashion industry in status quo today prioritize these Eurocentric standards. Why? Because they're all based in Europe and run by the majority of white men. This essentially just means that by not including these narratives, it will just propagate and continue the spread of a single faceted view of what movement should be, which is just inherently wrong. But moving on to my second tier, how it's promoting encouragement and confirmation for women all across the world, right? Because women are now given a sense of fashion and beauty by these moguls, as already stated, and they're largely white and European based. But by supporting the inclusion of these narratives, it directly tells the women that they are worth it, that they should be proud to be who they are, as all people should be, especially women in today's status quo, and that they no longer need to base their beauty or fashion values based on these two industries without these narratives involved, right? So opposition really needs to prove the harm into incorporating these narratives that will bring such a big harm to the entire woman as a scope. Then we take third tier of analysis, right? Same interest. We understand that these interests of these big companies is general profit, but how does that help our case, panel? You might be thinking, because through attracting and pushing these feminist narratives, we can not only make more money for these mega companies, but they can actually then churn more products and put in more money to creating beauty and fashion products that include these once marginalized and left out groups of women. That's a win-win. Like Asian and Black people who are left out in these two industries, they'll feel more included in these advertisements and the products they put out, because it is a self-enforcing loop. People put in more money because they know that they will get these products, and continuously it just creates a better and better image for not only the beauty and fashion industry, but also women as a whole, right? Because they will feel more included in these ads, so they're willing to spend more on these to help accentuate their unique features, no matter your race, no matter what you look like, no matter your weight. Because only with these narratives that we can see an increase in these past years. In these past few years, where there are more plus size models, there are different kinds, there are more Asians and Black people including in these advertisements. It is pure evidence that this is helping to progress society, especially towards helping women in destroying the once white-centric views towards beauty and fashion as a whole, but which further funds creating more unique and locally based cosmetic and fashion products, right? But let me talk you through the weighing here, right, panel? Just look at our world and their world for a second here. Whereas on our side, we are not only promoting and pushing for a better and more uniform and more diverse view towards beauty as a whole, but also towards how people think of women as a self, not just as the typical white-centric view, which is just inherently wrong, right? But why do we take this debate on 3 different metrics? Number one, burden fulfillment. How it's very effective in not only empowering women, but through changing the most influential industries in this case, which women prioritize the most in this case, which is directly the fashion and the beauty industry. It tackles not only by demolishing these Eurocentric beauty standards, but pushes for a healthier standard in the end for all women involved, no matter who you are. But second metric, how it knock-on impacts, right? It's not only able to change the views of women all around the world, but it also have an impact on global beauty standard towards women as a whole. It pushes for inclusivity in all groups of women, no matter where you come from, no matter what race you are. Because in fact, this is what beauty truly is. It is not something that is objective. It is based on subjective. It is how you look at women as a whole that matters, right? But moving on to my third metric is why we take this debate, sustainability. As all the stakeholders' interests are aligned, not only these mega companies that they can gain more profit by including all these different groups of women, but also for the women themselves, they will feel more inclusive as well. So it not only enforces a positive loop of churning out these products that can satisfy these once marginalized groups of women, but it also works better for society in cultivating a healthier beauty standard of women. So not only from society, for these megacorps, and even for women itself, we just win on all different metrics, right? But let me just push through and hammer home the winning entire case of this debate, right? Because we need to understand that the crux of today's debate is how these women feel and the beauty standards affected by these megacorps. And so as proposition, we are striving for not only a better beauty standard, but we will also push for more people to unite with a more diverse view towards what beauty actually looks like. And so just to close it off, we are fighting not only for a change, we're fighting for a more inclusive society. And lastly, we're also fighting for the woman. Never been prouder to propose.
All right, thank you very much to the Prime Minister for that wonderful speech. Now calling in the Leader of Opposition. Here.
Hello, am I audible and visible?
Yes, clear and clear.
Okay, give me a moment. Let me time. Yes, okay. I shall start in 3, 2, 1. Today, the government is trying to push through a motion that would create an inequality and promote a beauty standard that would cripple people's self-confidence and further reinforce stereotypes of women, right? So before I get onto my case, allow me to provide some rebuttals. Now, they say that women need more empowerment and there is an unequal beauty standard. We agree. However, how does including a slogan encourage women to be proud of themselves, right? By putting a slogan on a product, it encourages women to put on makeup. It subtly hints that there is a need for fashion in order for you to be a true feminist, right? It worsens this problem in society by reinforcing this kind of stereotype of a beauty standard, right? And speaking of beauty standards, the government has repeatedly mentioned Eurocentric beauty standards. We believe that this point is irrelevant because although racism and Eurocentrism is a very important issue, we don't believe that the proposition has mechanized how including feminist narratives will solve racism. They have also mentioned that these corporations are run by white men. Then when they are including feminist narratives, they will still be written by white men, right? And it runs a risk of becoming a twisted message that perverts the cause and affects the efficiency of the feminist movement as a whole. Is government bench later truly ready to set the feminist movement back even more? Go ahead.
Comparison here with a slogan that at least draws some attention for the feminists to self-empowerment, rather without a slogan, what does your world look like? You need to prove that without this, it's actually a net harm for these women, for the feminist movements, rather than the current status quo.
I will prove that point further on in my speech, but to provide a short response, we believe that including slogans would only further stereotypes, and hence that is why it causes net harm. I shall elaborate upon that later. Firstly, some context. What is feminism? Feminism is the promotion of accepting yourself and empowerment of the female, right? Empowerment of the woman, right? There are advertisements by fashion corporations in order to further their own sales of fashion and beauty products. And these advertisements, as agreed by proposition, will probably be more so targeted to feminism supporters, who will more likely be women, as they are the most involved stakeholders. And a beauty product is about perception, right? Both self-perception and perception by others. Not only does it allow one to change how you look, but also feel better about yourself, to have self-confidence, to have faith in who you are, right? And there is a really harmful stereotype, however, that women are the majority of consumers of fashion and beauty products. We don't believe so. Although stereotypes dictate that it's mostly women who buy beauty products, there is an increasingly large group of men who actually are into beauty products, and even larger group of potential customers later that who are actually interested in fashion beauty products, right? I believe that both houses wants equality. Want equality, yet we see that proposition encourages inequality. We don't want a beauty standard as opposition. We don't want it. It further reinforces stereotypes despite their claims of representation. The motion perverts the cause. It makes it a commercial venture and less of a social cause for justice. We believe that the government has the burden to prove that the motion can benefit all stakeholders and encourage equality, which we don't think they have done. Yes, POI.
By having these slogans, we do not Adding a slogan does not inherently mean that we marginalize the LGBTQ community. Adding a slogan does not mean that we take away from someone. So how does that prove that it actually further marginalizes other minorities?
We believe that the proposition might be misinterpreting our argument here. I have not mentioned the LGBTQ plus community, nor have I mentioned any case of increased marginalization by including a slogan. Stakeholders, corporations, their prime motivation is to maximize their profits, right? And improving their PR image is preferable in order to increase customer flow. You've also got the feminist movement, and you've got consumers who will buy these products from corporations, right? So what are the problems of including feminist narratives in advertisements, right? This commercializes beauty. It corporatizes a social cause, right? So why do corporations include these feminist narratives in the first place, right? Because they want to target the feminist market in an attempt to gain more money from the feminist customer base. And it's just an attempt to speak to the target demographic. Hence, corporations might not actually support the feminist cause. They might just be in it for the money. There isn't a sizable positive impact. It just makes people more disillusioned with how corporations use these valid and valuable social causes to merely make money. There would be a decreased support of feminism due to this because of the disillusionment of both potential and existing supporters of feminism. And there is a very high potential for opposers of feminism to use this as a straw man to link feminism to corporatization and greed, right? It distracts the movement from creating actual change, such as equal wages or self-acceptance, and it instead focuses more on writing slogans. Furthermore, corporations might just include feminist narratives in order to whitewash their reputation. Companies might use this as an opportunity to show their support of the cause whilst promoting inequality in company culture simultaneously, right? Like unwitting consumers may even be fooled into believing that the corporation is a feminist and equal one after watching the ad and support the company because of this, when in fact the company might not be, right? I have no idea how the internal politics of say Zara looks like. However, is it really fair to create an advertisement that allows the consumers to assume that they are in fact fair? Thank you very much. Proud to oppose.
All right, thank you very much to the leader of opposition for that fine speech. Now moving into the Deputy Prime Minister's speech. Here.
One. Another moment to set up my timer. I'm so sorry.
Yes, no worries, take your time.
It's very big. Okay. Okay, yeah, so before I go into my speech, I'm William, and you can refer to me by the pronouns of he and him, and I prefer POIs verbally, yeah, because I might not see the chat, yeah. So starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. In a sea of roses, is it wrong for us to fertilize that one cactus that is different from all the roses because they are not as same as what we typically think as pretty? Panel, before I move into my arguments, let me clarify 2 things to you. As the first thing is that as long as opposition cannot prove that this act of adding feminist slogans and adding feminists to these kind of advertisement will cause net harm to the stakeholders, of the industry itself, and also the women, and also the feminist movement itself, then therefore none of their cases will stand, because at the end of the day, where's the harm and where's the problem with it? It's not causing, if you cannot prove that it's inflicting harm to these kind of stakeholders and women themselves, then therefore none of your case will stand. And also another thing, as long as I can prove to you that how this is not good and further benefits the women empowerment, also the industry, and also the diversity of these kind of products, and also the clear reflection of new kind of fashion beauty standards, then therefore we as the government will take the case. Now, you see, a few rebuttals first. Now, first of all, I would like to clarify that I don't know what is, I'm not as completely sure that what they're talking about. They're saying that we are now focusing more time on making the slogan, but the motion is that whether or not we want to use this kind of feminist narrative in order to promote these kind of acts of beauty products. We're not saying that, oh, do we want to make more slogans, or how we make this slogan? This is completely out of the debate. And they're saying about all these kind of other people, these kind of men. But this is, well, the abusing of fear in this debate is about feminism. Feminism applies to females, and therefore the biggest stakeholders that consume makeup products, the biggest people that actually cause and are the harms of these kind of beauty standards, of these kind of Eurocentric beauty standards, are women, because women are the people who are accustomed to be, oh, these kind of pretty roses, these kind of pretty flowers that it should be. So I do not get that why they're making this such a big argument. I'll take it later on this kind of other people like men and other kind of people. Oh yeah, I'll take a POI now.
Just now you said that these
Please do not waste my time.
I'm taking my time. These kinds of beauty products are marketed towards women, but then we just said that there is a growing consumer group of men. How do you respond to that?
Thank you. Now, the act of, we are not denying that, yes, there's a growing move for consumer of men, but however, prove to me that why this will cause more harm to men. Prove to me why this will cause harm to these men who consume these kind of products. We are not downplaying the act of men cannot be beautiful. We're not saying that men cannot be. We're not promoting misogynistic thoughts. However, we are just trying to empower women. We are bringing good, not inflicting harm. Prove to me, as again, why that, as long as you cannot prove to me that, then none of your arguments will stay. We are not saying that we do not want to cater to this market. We are still catering to it, but I don't know what's wrong and what is this big confusion about it. I hope that I've answered your POI, and I hope you understand it. But now, next is what we have aligning interests. Bob and Gus can all agree that we want women to be more confident, one woman to believe in themselves more. So therefore, it is inevitable that in the status quo, these kind of Eurocentric beauty standards are what they actually cause women to be. This it's always been advertised as a white woman who, with this beautiful fashion sense, with these kind of white man clothes. So therefore, what to change is one localized it, one diversity, one that, and therefore I'll prove to you in the argument. So in the case of we have aligning is with they want women to be more empowered. So therefore, our case of helping to push this kind of feminist narratives into making women feel more confident in themselves is, well, it's the only way to achieve it. And therefore, and also one more thing, Josh, which I would like to flash out. They are saying that, oh, in our case, we'll cost more beauty standards. But where's the justification for that? And even in the case that they'll say, oh, in ours, in Gulf's world, that, these kind of beauty standards will suddenly magically appear. But understand that the status quo is that these kind of beauty standards already exist prior to this. What we are doing is trying to mitigate it, we're trying to decrease it. But in your case, what is your mechanism? Try to remove it. You don't give us any mechanism. So therefore, where's the please engage with our mechanism? But without further ado, let me prove to you that, okay, and also let me do one simple way for you, Judge, which will show you that even in the case that they are going to say that, oh, in the best case, in their worst case, oh, women will spend a lot of money. Women will see this as a very important thing. But at least we're emphasizing on natural beauty standards versus their uniform, homogeneous, one sort of beauty standard, which everyone tries to chase about it. But without further ado, let me move to you with my two arguments for today. First, argument one about diversity. Fourth is my argument. First, it will weaken fake beauty standards. What we are doing is we'll weaken this kind of fake beauty standard, which has been imposed because these kind of beauty standards now, they are being accustomed to these kind of women themselves. Feminism, the act is being empowering to women, make women feel comfortable themselves, embrace their own edges, embrace their curves, not be this one specific model woman that you are trying to see who is performing on the stage. So therefore, we weaken this kind of standards to make women more comfortable, more confident and confident with themselves. Second is that we do not have to follow the Eurocentric beauty standards, because if even the most important sector, which is the fashion and beauty sector, which women most importantly prioritize themselves in, which is what that portrays a woman, which women most inherently thinks is the most important thing they can show who they are, is actually the main channel that actually propagates these kind of things, where you say, oh, you cannot have these kind of feminist narratives, and it doesn't bring that harm, which I would like to mention again. Then therefore, if we don't advertise the kind of uniform standards, and more diverse culture will be able to be propagated, women will be able to be comfortable to be different. Next, third is to amplify the uniqueness of women. Women will be allowed to be more free to accept different. They'll be okay. They'll think, but let me illustrate to you. They say, okay, in this case, that these kind of feminist women say, okay, I can be different. I can act that I can wear different clothes. I can wear clothes that I like because I don't have this one specific movement that this what is currently in status quo. So therefore, we have to improve the diversity. And last, it brings me to my fourth. It is a more diverse beauty and fashion sense in general, being proving to you that how these kind of things will be achieved. Let me run you through this impact, which is the most important for the entire sector itself. One, which is Margaret's already impacted to you, is that more money will be churned in, and therefore better beauty products which are accustomed to their needs will be able to be churned out. Second is that more diverse beauty structure will be able to bring out and add a different characteristics, different uniqueness will be able to be embodied. Now, when we win under the metric, just a simple metric, we win under the stack of vulnerable groups, the minorities, these kind of women who are different, this plus size women, racial minorities, and people who do not fit to these Eurocentric and these kind of traditional beauty standards. Now, moving to my last argument. Third is the benefits of feminism. After proving to you, Judge, that why this is a good thing and why this helps to promote feminism, how will this help to promote stronger women? Let me run you through the simple impacts of why this helps to ultimately improve feminism and why feminism is such important for women right now. Now, four things of my argument. First, it brings back the power to the women. Women should be the one who are deciding what kind of beauty standards they are. They should be able to think that how they should look pretty, not instead of be contingent on these kind of things, these kind of metrics that are set by the patriarchal rules, which is, well, this is the status quo. Now, second, we make them stronger because now women will be more confident in themselves. Women will be allowed to express different kind of things. Women will be more free. Therefore, make them stronger because they wouldn't be tied to these kind of so-called beauty standards, which has been imposed by set opposition and failed to be disproved by them. Now, third, it was less be focused on these kind of patriarchal or racial standards in today's beauty world because therefore they wouldn't need to follow this kind of old standards which someone set and it's always running. So therefore, we are making a change to the world. We are making a change with which I don't see any sort of harm, but instead we bring good. And last is we have to benefit the mental health of women because women wouldn't have to be chasing constantly chasing one thing that not everyone is accustomed to do so. Now, panel, just simple. Let me reiterate once again. We are not saying that we want to deplete the harms of the other groups who actually use beauty products which are males. And as long as opposition cannot prove to you that why our act of bringing feminism brings net harm to women, feminism, and the industry itself, therefore, none of their arguments stand. So far the proposed. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Deputy Prime Minister, for that wonderful speech. Now calling in the Deputy Leader of Opposition. Here.
Can you hear me? Oh wait, hold on. Sorry, I need to.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, give me a minute to set up my timer. Okay. I will start my speech. Oh wait, no, I forgot. I prefer verbal POIs, and I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. The opposition sees that it is very important for feminism to be supported and to instill confidence into women. We believe that feminism is about self-acceptance and being comfortable in your own skin and being at peace with yourself. But we also believe that empowerment is not done through capitalist product placement. So a few rebuttals. Firstly, it is meant a slogan has been mentioned multiple times. The previous speaker has said that we question. We have brought up a slogan which is irrelevant, but we did not bring up a slogan. The slogan was brought up by government. We merely analyzed the market and not the specifics of how you market. Our lack of a model has also been stated, but we see that any action for feminism should be supported, but it is outside the scope of the motion. The only important part of this motion is the marketing of beauty products and feminism. And at this moment, we see that this change that is proposed by the government is misguided and will do more harm than good. Despite us not having a concrete plan, we believe that maintaining the status quo is a better option. Now, we agree with the representation of diversity, but we believe that the government is fighting the right war on the wrong battlefield. Enforcing feminism traits onto a advertisement campaign is counterintuitive as it enforces a harmful stereotype. We do not deny representation as suggested by government, but it is short term. You see a poster on the wall, but how long is this influence going to last? It will boost employment, sure, but only within this one particular sector. It does not increase drastically over the board. Now, On the other hand, feminist narrative should encourage things like body positivity and being independent. But it's counterintuitive in the sense where fashion and beauty products push the message that women need these things to look beautiful instead of being able to support themselves without any external influences. Yes, it is a choice for women, but this is a stereotype that has been long held in society. This reinforces the stereotype, worsens the problem in the status quo by supporting the fact that feminism is beauty products. Now, we suggest that it is it suggests that a true woman or feminist uses beauty products and it ties these two things together into one object. This creates an effect where it pressures society to buy beauty products, which is the whole reason a corporation even exists, to gain profit. The previous speaker has said that women are proud of fashion, and it is the most important thing to women. But this is exactly what the corporations are trying to push. The fact that women need fashion to survive, when the truth is that women do not. They should be able to stand by themselves without the need of a corporalized product. The Prime Minister has said that beauty is subjective, and this precisely is what we're trying to say, because this is an attempt on the corporation to try to control the subjectiveness of beauty that society deems. By tying it to feminism, they are expanding the scope of what beauty can be, but only within their own particular circle. The ability to control beauty is this volatile. This ties the concept of beauty to being in possession of their particular beauty product, because that is what beauty is. And the end, it creates a narrative where using a beauty product or makeup is the new normal. Now, being caught in the loop of purchasement in order to cause... Go ahead.
As a human, it is in our inherent nature to chase beauty. Yes, there's a reason why we want to wear makeup even as men, to change up our fashion. Rather than forcing upon a Eurocentric view of beauty, we would rather promote these slogans so that there's an even wider grasp of beauty versus a Eurocentric one.
Now, we agree in this, but then we do not. We agree that humans chase beauty, but we are seeing a scenario where beauty products are tied to the sole reason that you can be beautiful or you can be feminist. These two are becoming so linked that they cannot be pulled apart anymore, which is the problem here. The ideas should not be the same thing. Now, being caught in the loop of having to buy objects to support the feminist cause will be the result of this. And now, not only does this normalize and hyperfixate the female population on using beauty products in order to be beautiful, because that is what being feminist and what being beautiful is. It also pressures the economically disadvantaged or those without the ability to acquire such products to keep up with the trend, which worsens the effect that has already been seen in modern day. Now, there was also a metaphor made earlier about the roses, but we believe that by not further chasing this particular way of marketing, not only are we allowing more roses to prosper, we are not attempting to bunch up a bunch of roses and say that this is the only amount that you can buy, because there are a lot of roses out there. But we should not be limited in our idea of what feminism can be by a corporation. Now, considering that you get greedy businessmen who are in an ingenuine attempt to cash grab, creates a flawed system which could potentially worsen the values already built up prior by other feminist movements that are not to do with fashion, the goals of the corporations are misaligned, and we do not see that much benefit will arise as their primary intention is profit. This increases their intention of having more markets buy their products due to being feminist. But do they actually believe in this cause? Are they actually helping them? There are more important causes for the there are more important things to do for the feminist cause, such as wages or equality in the workplace. Instead, we're being tricked to believe that supporting the corporate conglomerate is in fact supporting feminism, while important topics remain untouched. This is why I am proud to oppose.
I'm sorry, give me a quick second to settle some things. All right, that's all. Okay, first of all, thank you very much to the Deputy Leader of Opposition for that speech. Now we're moving into the whip segment of the substantive speeches, starting with the government whip. Ready when you are.
Starting my speech in 3, 2, starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. The entire opposition has failed to understand that actually these harms that they have proposed time and time again are not mutually exclusive to their sides, right? But let me first recharacterize again to remind you what the current status quo looks like, right? Without these beauty slogans, the beauty standards that women are subjected before are, well, inherently Eurocentric. And that companies will still advertise no matter what, because that's a way to promote their products and to gain a new market. And that women are inherently subjected to high beauty standards, not only by themselves, but also by men, and that people themselves chase beauty, right? That is the main characterization for today's debate. But first, let me go into the clashes here. Which side benefits women more, right? We say first that with these slogans, with these narratives from a sector that women put so much importance in, because society themselves forced them into these high beauty standards, that we would rather have something that is at least better for them. We are not saying that, we are not arguing whether the beauty industry in itself is evil or not. No, we are actually saying whether they should do this or not, because even though we might agree that the beauty standard is evil or something, that is not up to the debate. That the debate should be whether beauty industries should do this or not, rather than whether beauty industries are evil or benevolent inherently, right? So first, let's look at how these narratives impact women, right? Wait. Women often look to these industries to find their self-worth, to find a way for them to value their beauty. But without these slogans, without these posters, these advertisements targeted at them to tell them that no matter what, there is something available for you, rather than forcing them to feel ugly in their own skin, forcing them to splurge so much money in beauty products, conform to themselves to a beauty standard that they cannot adhere to, is inherently harmful, rather than providing them with better alternatives so that they can spend less, gain more. Yes, your POI.
Do you think that relying on a beauty standard would decrease a person's self-worth?
Everyone has a beauty standard here, and if you yourself do not adhere to your beauty standard, would you not feel, well, lesser in your own skin? Everyone has their own beauty standard, and often in this beauty industry, before these narratives, they push a more Eurocentric one, which is inherently harmful to, well, the minorities, right, the Black people and such. With these slogans, we are just pushing for a more all-inclusive product market, rather than one that is, well, inherently harmful, right? And then they say that somehow by using these slogans that companies are given some sort of protection, that this gives them good PR, right? Yes, this gives them good PR. But they say that with this good PR, companies are able to divert the attention from giving them good wages and good salaries, right? But they fail to realize that if you market yourselves to feminists, what do feminists look like? Feminists look like progressive women who pay attention to the news, right? So if they are actually wage gaps in these companies, wouldn't the backlash to be even greater? Because the market that they are consuming themselves place such a high importance in these wage equalities, right? Wouldn't the backlash be greater against these companies who cause wage inequalities and still cater to the feminist market? So I don't understand how this harm is mutually exclusive when you flip them on your side. Well, beauty standard companies can still cause misogyny, can still have wage gaps, but they, on both sides, their accountability relies on being exposed. If both sides are unexposed, we know that nothing can change. This is not mutually exclusive here, right? Whereas on our side, since they are profit driven, they are still going to advertise to women no matter what. Where on your side, you instead advertise even more on Eurocentric views, right? What does this seem to women? This seems like, rather than at the very least 10% of advertisements telling you that, hey, you're beautiful in your own skin, it looks like all advertisements telling you that you right now, you're ugly because you're not white, because you're not European. How does that feel to you? How does that feel to me? as a woman, right? How does that feel? It feels that you're worthless. It feels that you're not who you're supposed to be, rather than pushing at least these narratives that, hey, maybe you can be beautiful on your own. They will feel more confident directly without needing to buy beauty products at all. And they will be able to accentuate their own beauty standards rather than applying these Eurocentric makeups, these to conform to their European standards and finding out, hey, I spent so much money and I still don't look like them. I spent so much money, I wasted so much money and I feel ugly. Rather than that, they will be able to choose their own makeup, specific makeups, and let them feel beauty in their own skin. This looks like me going to the gym and working out because I want to accentuate my own beauty. Understand that beauty is inherently wanted by both sides. We just need to make sure which side allows them to reach beauty better, right? And then on feminist movements as a whole, they said that this is perverted, that the companies only have profit in mind, and that their true motive is not pure. Understand that, sure, their motives might not be pure, but the outcome is a pure net good for feminists. So why should we care about motivations? The government themselves might not have the purest
POI.
motivations, but they have the best. But they want to create the best way for people as a whole, right? Understand that's the same thing. Protected time, rejected, right? So understand that as long as the product of these actions are a net good, we don't care about the motivations because that doesn't matter for this debate, right? We are arguing for feminism. Which side benefits feminism the most? And on this side is the side where, now going on to my way, which side helps women more? Which side lets people feel beauty easier? Rather than conforming to Eurocentric beliefs, we are able to advertise to even more people so that they spend less on Eurocentric products and still be unable to adhere to their beauty standards. Rather, we promote these beauty products where they can pick and choose and still feel beautiful way easier, right? And then on the flip side, what does it look like? They say that actually we are promoting people to look beautiful in their own skin, that they don't need beauty products. Sure, there is a rising motion in this, but inherently this goes against human nature where they want to be as pretty as possible, right? These clashes, they say that this actually cripples self-confidence. Rather look before what happens on your side. You say that by removing these slogans, you're just making them feel even less confident because they are not what society calls them to be. They are not what these fashion beauty industries call them to be. We cannot directly separate beauty products with beauty because it is already in the name. These are tools to help make people feel beautiful, feel more happy, feel more confident against the raging misogyny of our society today. We seek to rectify, at the very least, a little part. We seek to rectify the wrong society and we seek to champion for women. Never been prouder to oppose. Propose.
All right. Thank you very much to the government whip, and we'll be moving on to the opposition whip. Ready when you are.
Am I visible and audible?
Yes, clear and clear.
Okay, I prefer my POIs verbally, please. Okay. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so today as the opposition whip, first I will begin my speech by breaking down the main argument in the government case. Government claims that they can improve the beauty standard in society. However, opposition has told you so many times that government worsens the problem. Feminism advocates for equal treatment of women and men and the same set of standards that holds both genders. However, feminists have been pushing for natural beauty and have self-confidence, right? But how is a fashion product that is meant to make you pretty, supposed to promote it, right? Like, oh, you use this product, then you're gonna look more beautiful and also feminism. How does that make sense? By encouraging women that they need makeup and beautiful clothes to be beautiful, we're in fact harming the feminist movement and setting back the entire cause. And this is why we see that the entire government case does not stand. Now, moving on to individual rebuttals. Government's first speaker has said that women need more empowerment and that there's an unequal beauty standard in today's society, and that they should be proud of who they are. As proved by our speaker today, does this not worsen the problem for women? Women being proud of who they are is not solved on government side, right? And in fact, because they are encouraging women to put on makeup and increase the need for fashion because they're tying feminism into this, they're worsening the problem in society. Now moving on to the second speaker. He has said that government side wants diversity and more races to represent the product, right? To reduce the Eurocentric beauty standard in today's society, right? However, this case highly lacks mechanization, right? There's a slippery slope fallacy used here. And we don't see how incorporating feminist narratives into advertisements and slogans encourages this. Panel, we see that one of government's main arguments is centered around increasing representation for different races, for different communities, right? And to reduce the Eurocentric beauty standard in today's society. However, they fail to explain to us how this will happen and how these feminist slogans will trigger this change. And therefore, this entire argument does not stand. Now, moving on to another argument. You said that that they will empower women to make their own beauty standards in the new society,
POI.
right? However, no, thank you. We have shown you how their argument is highly counterintuitive to the message of the feminist movement. How will feminist narratives and slogans in big corporations like Prada and Zara and Dior empower women? Doesn't stop worsening the problem in the status quo by tying in something like feminism into things that are counterintuitive to feminism, like beauty products and beautiful clothes. This doesn't make sense. These two things are oxymorons. They don't go together. This elevates the beauty standard in today's society and worsens the problem in the status quo, therefore increasing the pressure on women and worsening their mental health. Moreover, government's first speaker and said that their companies are held by white men, right? Said by my first speaker. How will they be able to effectively transmit a feminist message when they aren't the main stakeholder in today's movement, right? They are parts of the stakeholder of the companies and the corporations. Their only goal is to increase their profits, right? This does not increase their profits. This worsens it because we see that they are actually driving away customers. According to the proposition's world, we should be getting to the roots of the patriarchy by improving the gender pay gap and reducing the power difference between men first. Otherwise, it'll just be irrelevant. Now, moving on to the government whip. He once again brought up the term Eurocentrism and how governments take to solve it again and again and again. And we see that this is highly irrelevant to the entire structure of today's debate, right? Because how does Eurocentrism tie into feminist narrative? We pointed out so many times that Eurocentrism simply does not belong to today's debate. Yes, it is a problem, but no, it is not solved by government side, and they have failed to provide any mechanism to show otherwise. He's also said that everyone has their own beauty standard. We absolutely agree with it. However, government side encourages a world whereby women have an even higher beauty standard than in the status quo, because there's a beauty standard that is still forced upon them, just as a feminist narrative. Therefore, we see that every single one of government's arguments today simply does not stand. Now, let me prove to you why government has failed to meet their burden, as stated by my first speaker, which defines their loss in today's debate. In order for government to win this debate, they had to prove why these feminist narratives will be a good thing for the feminist movement, the consumers, and these corporations, and why the status quo harms one or the other or all of them. They failed to do so, right? Opposition bench, meanwhile, has successfully shown you why government is significantly causing damage to all three of the stakeholders. There's financial and economic loss for the corporation through these advertisements, as brought to you by my second speaker. They are weakening the feminist movement as the message is now becoming increasingly jumbled and unclear. Is body positivity still a part of this movement? Do women need makeup and fashion to become a woman? Which harmful stereotypes do feminism now aim to break? Moreover, we also see that consumers will fall further down into the stereotype that society sets on them. Therefore, we see that government side fails to meet their burden, which is why they lose in today's debate. Allow me to compare the two worlds, right? In the status quo, there are some feminist narratives that are beginning to show, but we aren't seeing a sudden rise in financial gain for these companies, or we aren't seeing a sudden empowerment of women, right? It hasn't been a big rise. We don't see how this has helped any of the stakeholders, right? And as stated by my previous speakers, the message that feminist narratives push is directly contradictory to the message that the fashion and the beauty industry have been pushing over the centuries. Helping this feminist movement more than the government, we are at the opposite side. We help the feminist movement so much more than the government, and we actually give them a freedom push. We actually help women, the feminist movement. We help corporations, we help the consumers, and we don't see how in government world they can improve the situation better than status quo. Now, what does the world look like after more inclusion happens, right? We see that, as proven above, there will be significant damage to all three as today's debate, right? There will be a worsened problem in society today as the beauty standard has been raised and elevated as the beauty standard has been raised to even higher standards than before. Opposition acknowledges the existence of the problem in today's society. However, we have proved how in government work, they aren't solving it, they aren't making it better, right? They are worsening the problem. They are harming the feminist movement by enforcing the stereotype, right? They're generating a problem where women are even more drawn to makeup. As explained by the previous speakers, will generate a financial burden for a portion of women. We don't see how government roles can benefit anyone. In fact, we see that they are harming everyone involved. So, what has the main factor of today's debate has been that does including feminist narrative, encourage stereotypes, or does it, as proposition states, include inclusivity? We believe that proposition has perfectly countered their own point of view, including the feminist narrative in fashion and beauty products, an industry that's inherently against feminism due to its imposition of a corporate beauty standard that does not solve or mitigate the problem at all. Hence, the opposition takes this clash and by extension, the debate. So what has opposition brought to the table today? We have told you that feminist narratives commercialize beauty and corporatize a social cause. We've also told you that it is counterintuitive and enforces a harmful stereotype. It pressures society to buy beauty products and creates pressure for a very large group of women. And finally, it creates a flawed system that worsens the problem in society today. So because of how government has failed to bring any relevant material to today's debate, opposition undoubtedly takes today's debate. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much to the opposition whip. That sums up about our substantive speeches for today's debate. Now moving on to the reply speeches, starting with the opposition reply speaker. Here.
Hello, am I audible and visible?
Yes, clear and clear.
Okay, allow me to start the time. Okay, 3. I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And today, what have we brought to you? We have showed you that adding feminist narratives will in fact cause net harm. We have shown that feminist narratives commercialize beauty and corporatize a social cause. We've provided evidence as to how it is counterintuitive due to its contradictory nature to the beauty industry, how it pressures society to conform to beauty standards that aren't even their own, how it creates a flawed system that perpetuates an anti-feminist message, right? And we believe that the proposition has refused to engage with these arguments and instead provided a one-sided and incomplete worldview that firstly promotes a standard beauty standard. They keep telling us that women should use the improved standards that the corporations push with a feminist narrative, right? Going from Eurocentrism to a globalized but equally restrictive beauty standard. The whole point of feminism is to accept and love who you are, and not whatever the proposition has in mind, right? We find that the proposition constantly contradicts themselves with their arguments. Why should prop promote corporate beauty standards with a narrative layer of insincere feminism caked on top when feminism and beauty standards are inherently contradictory, right? The third speaker of the proposition has said, everyone has their own standards of beauty. Isn't this exactly why we should allow women to decide what beauty is to themselves instead of letting a corporation dictate what it is, right? They have also generalized the stakeholders and stereotype feminists. They say that feminists are progressive women who keep track of the news, but sometimes they aren't. Sometimes they are consumers that may not have the full situation or may not have full knowledge of how to approach corporate beauty standards or corporate products. They might be lured into purchasing products that has a feminist narratives without actually being a feminist company, right? Like this kind of hasty generalization further pokes holes in their argument. Meanwhile, the opposition has provided a conclusive and strong argument on how including a feminist narrative doesn't create a feminist environment, right? We have already demonstrated through the clash that including a feminist narrative only encourages stereotypes and cause negative self-image to women, right? And we do not see how proposition could take this down without having to contradict their entire case at all. And hence, with that, we're very proud to oppose. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much to the opposition reply speaker. Now, last but not the least, the government reply speaker. Ready when you are.
Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. opposition keeps saying that our claims do not stand, when in reality, they are the ones who actually don't understand. Now, the only thing I would like to point out to you, Judge, that shows you why they win this argument is the sole reason that they're only running a negative case. They're provided no alternative. They're just saying that all our things are bad. But at least we're showing you what is actually what we're going to do at the least. But what's their alternative? I don't even see. So none of their claims should even stand. Now, second of all, I would like to clarify against this, the thing that they're constantly accusing us. They're saying, oh, there's no MAC. But read the motion. The motion is that we are going to support. So what's this MAC problem they're grumbling about? Now, the next thing is that they're saying that, oh, now we should just change and just don't impose any kind of standard, but understand that they're ignoring the status quo, that the status quo already have this kind of Eurocentric beauty standards, which makes it completely irrelevant. Because what you're going to do, are you going to just completely stop advertisement, or you are going to completely jeopardize the fashion industry, which makes no sense at all. Now, next, they have also failed to prove to us why this brings net harm to women and the feminism. So therefore, I've already mentioned in my speech that if they cannot prove this, then we should take this debate. So I do not know why they're still not trying to prove to us that why this is harmful to women and self. And I also have proved to you that this brings net good to women. It's just an addition of benefit. It's not coming at the cost of other things, which bring me to the next point, that they have been constantly saying that, oh, we are not clear about the motives, but our waste speaker has already mentioned to you that if the action is correct, it doesn't really matter about the motive. It's like you donate some food to a homeless man. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your motive is, as long as the homeless man gets his fill his stomach, then it's a good deed, and it brings that good. So I don't understand why you're so fixated on this problem. Now, it's next they say the slogans advertisement are inherently slogans as well, and they say, oh, how is this going to impact? Because advertisement are kind of like signals. If you keep on looking at something, you subconsciously will be understanding. You will subconsciously will change your perception of saying that, oh, these are the specific beauty standards that we must meet. Next is that we and Gov and Up has already agreed that there's unequal beauty standards, and they are accusing us of worsening the current beauty standard. But where's the reasoning? Where's the MAC of these kind of things? Where's the justification? What's the impact? No, they just give me one lining claim, which I don't think it should be credited. Now, last time, they say, this will cause other sectors to be depleted. We're not able to do force other things like mental health and stuff. But what is this problem is that it doesn't come at a cost. We are just promoting it. We are not taking money away from other places. No, we are just allowing this kind of advertising to be done. So I don't even understand why you're bringing in other things as well. And they're saying that they're not engaging on a positive enforcing loop, which Marcus has mentioned, and so and it's not just limited to oppose these kind of narratives are propagated toward the entire company advertisement scene worldwide. It's already been characterized by Marcus, but the industry is run by these kind of companies. So therefore, Judge, let me run you. Although there's still many technical flaws, let me run you through the clashes and why show you just on these two clashes we are going to take this debate. Now, first, on which side benefits women more? Anjing has already illustrated to you that why we are going to illustrate women more, because first, women it's in their nature to want to be pretty. So why don't you make them cater to their different beauty needs? Why you don't empower them? Why you don't enforce these kind of thinking of feminism into them? Even though I'm a man, but I still understand why it's important for women to be strong, why it's important for women to be power. But in their case, they're just running a negative case against us, and they have not proved to us why this will cause harm to women. So I don't see that where it will bring good to women. Second of all, it's on the feminist movement. The outcome is for net good. We are promoting feminist movement through these kind of beauty products, these kind of fashion products. We are helping women to feel strong. We are aligning the interests of these kind of feminist movement, which we want stronger women, we want women to believe in themselves and the empowerment of women. But however, what is on their side? Their side is that they're saying, oh, this kind of depletes or not enough money will go to the feminist movement, which is again, it's an abuse of faith. We're not going to do other kind of things. Instead, there's no sort of claim that actually supports what they are saying, because it's not coming at a cost, which I've mentioned to you one time and time again. But even if we take their metrics and even we take their absurd claims, let me prove to you on two things that why state government just take this debate. First is on the case of that how we have to protect women and how we have to make them feel comfortable themselves and have the belief in themselves. And second of all, it's for actually the whole improvement of the entire sector, for the minority groups, for the entire women group as women as a whole, and for these companies, in order for them to increase their products, which again is mutually exclusive to ourselves, which shows that why state government takes this debate, because we're fighting for the women, we're fighting for all the people in need, we are fighting for all the differences and all the varieties, and we are the champion for the people. Thank you. So proud to propose.
All right, thank you very much to the government reply speaker. That just sums up about our debate today. Let me